Hepatha practice on the dinner table. Hello and welcome. The material for this talk was provided by the Australian Buddhist Practice Association. Today, we're going to have an in-depth conversation about the dialogue records you've shared. The core theme is the profound connection between Buddhist concepts of compassion and wisdom, and our daily diet. The focus is on how we can cultivate compassion and the bodhicitta, the aspiration for enlightenment, by observing the suffering of all beings, especially suffering related to what we eat. So, our goal today is to understand, based on this material, how modern eating habits and food production methods have become sources of suffering. And once we see this clearly, how can it guide us to cultivate deeper compassion and even move towards enlightenment? Let's take a closer look at what might be behind the choices on your daily plate. The material begins by introducing a core concept, that the aspiration for enlightenment, the hope that all beings may be free from suffering and attaining happiness, bodhicitta, fundamentally rises from great compassion, Mahakarusa. This great compassion, in turn, is born from seeing the suffering of living beings. So, it's a cycle. Seeing suffering gives rise to great compassion, which then inspires bodhicitta, with the ultimate goal of achieving Buddhahood and perfect wisdom to truly help everyone be liberated. That's right. And there's a very interesting point here. The material takes this seemingly abstract cycle and brings it directly to our dinner tables. It uses a wonderful metaphor. Though beings are full of poison and resentment, one regards them as family. This means that sentient beings often regard things that are clearly harmful to them, what the material calls poison and resentment, such as certain unhealthy eating habits, or the problematic food itself, as familiar, beloved, and even objects they are willing to pay a price to pursue. This is regarding them as family. The metaphor of poison and resentment combined with regarding them as family is very apt. This leads directly to the next point in the material, which addresses the problems of modern diets. For example, in the pursuit of efficiency, yield, and profit, there's a heavy use of pesticides, chemical fertilizers, and herbicides. The material even cites concerns that a common component, glyphosate, may be linked to certain neurodegenerative diseases like dementia. Yes. Besides the agricultural side, food processing is also a key issue. Overly refined grains, such as refined flour and refined rice, are believed to increase the risk of diabetes, and processed foods like ice cream may contain chemical substances that are difficult to wash away, not to mention the almost ubiquitous plastic pollution, from packaging to microplastics, which can re-enter the food chain. The material points out that behind all of this is often a single word, greed. Producers are greedy for profit, while we consumers might be greedy for convenience and taste. Wow, that sounds really unsettling. It suggests that the food that should be nourishing our lives has instead become what the material calls poison, potentially causing physical illness and even affecting our minds, leading to conditions like dementia, foolishness, and dullness. It sounds like a form of unconscious self-harm. Exactly. And recognizing this widespread suffering caused by our diet, whether it's our own suffering or that of others, is precisely the starting point for cultivating compassion, as the material suggests. Because when you can empathize with this suffering, a compassionate heart naturally arises, wanting to help yourself and others escape it. In this way, compassion is no longer just a theory, but a deeply personal experience. So, what solutions does the material propose in this situation? It sounds like a massive problem. What the material proposes is actually to start with what is within our power, our food choices. It suggests turning compassion into concrete action. For example, trying to grow some of your own food if you can, or making a more conscious effort to find and support healthier food sources. Even very small changes are a way of reducing the causes of suffering for both ourselves and others. So it's not just about eating healthy ourselves, but extending it to others as well. Yes. Taking it a step further, you can share healthy food with others. In Buddhism, this is called duna generosity, a form of selfless giving and sharing, or even just making an effort to spread relevant knowledge, making more people aware of the potential risks in modern diets and helping them understand how to avoid harm. This is also a way to help everyone be free from suffering and attain happiness. The material particularly emphasizes not underestimating individual power. Persisting with small actions every day is a practical way of alleviating the suffering of sentient beings. Sharing healthy food or knowledge. It sounds like the action itself is a form of practice. It's helping others and at the same time accumulating merit for ourselves and transforming inner afflictions like greed by helping others recognize and stay away from the poison in their diet. Our own understanding and awareness of the issue will also deepen. This concretely demonstrates the path of bodhicitta arises from great compassion. That is, from seeing suffering, compassion arises, which is then transformed into action, and the action itself deepens our practice. So, to summarize, the materials you've provided give us a very thought-provoking reminder. Eating is far more than just filling our stomachs or satisfying our cravings. Every time we choose what to eat, it is deeply connected to our desires, especially greed, and to the suffering we experience or observe. It can even be transformed into a path of practice leading to compassion and wisdom, right in our daily lives. This is indeed a very insightful perspective that it brings spiritual practice into our every meal. Every choice. Perhaps next time you're choosing food, in addition to considering the taste, price, and nutritional value, you can add another layer of observation. Does this choice also stir some ripples of suffering, greed, or even compassion? There may be no standard answer to this question, but I think it's something worth continuously feeling and exploring in our lives.